Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amrutangamaya Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om. O Lord, please lead us from unreality to the reality, ignorance to the knowledge, and from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. Dear devotees, we were all discussing or trying to know the life of Sister Nivedita, the Ireland's inspiration, who dedicated to serve the humankind. She never thought about herself or even for a moment, even for a second. She always thought, how can I serve the humanity? How can I serve the deceased people? How can I serve the afflicted people? And especially, how can I bring education, or how can I give education to the woman in India? As his guru, Swami Vivekananda, had told, she was struggling enough, more than enough, to serve the noble cause, that is women's education. She had been to USA to collect the funds, and there couple of people, when they heard about her noble cause and her innovative ideas, they all felt very happy. They all promised to help. She only asked, if you can give every one of you $1, maybe per month or per year, everyone, that will be more than enough for me. She expected, she anticipated just $1 from every individual. Though everyone promised, or most of the people promised, but they didn't give. Most of them, they didn't maintain their promise. It is very unfortunate. And also, this led to get disheartened for Sister Nivedita. Sister Nivedita got disheartened by the people's reactions. By the way, she was asked to speak on many versatile subjects with special reference to Indian philosophy, Vedanta, Indian culture, Indian women, Indian women's education, her status, etc. in the USA. So at a couple of places, she did give wonderful lectures. Again, there was a rude shock for her. One of the chief disciple and follower of Swami Vivekananda, Miss Bull, when Nivedita asked her to help, Bull said, it is your work, you have to take care, it is none of my business to help her. Miss Bull was the ardent devotee and follower of Swami Vivekananda. Even Nivedita had thought that, because she also the chief disciple of Swami Vivekananda, and at Swami Vivekananda's order, she is doing this philanthropic activity. She thought that the disciples of Swami Vivekananda also will help her. But it is unfortunate that it didn't happen. Now again, she's back to India. She came to Belur Math in Calcutta in India to see her master, that is Swami Vivekananda. During their conversation, Swami Vivekananda said, look, I am going away. He used this sentence particularly, look, I am going away. But it is unfortunate that Sister Nivedita did not understand what did Swami Vivekananda really mean. Because there was a proposal or there was a talk going on, Swami Vivekananda will visit Japan. So, Sister Nivedita thought Probably he is mentioning about his visit to Japan. But actually, Swami Vivekananda meant that in very soon, he will be leaving his mortal coil, or he will depart from this mundane earth. He didn't understand. She didn't understand. On March 29th, there was Sri Ramakrishna's birthday. Many events were organized in Belur Math, but because of his bad health, Swami Vivekananda didn't come out much. She had to he had to restrict himself in his room because doctors had prescribed not to come out. And if he mingles with a lot of people and they touch his feet and do pranams and all, definitely it will tell upon his health. So as a result, with force, Vivekananda had to stay back in his room. But from the window, whatever is possible, he was trying to see every event. Then Josephine McLeod, she was there next to him. During the function, he said, "Look, I will never reach my 40. I will never reach my 40." Means before this 1902 it is, so 1863 Swami Vivekananda was born, means 1903 he will touch 40 or cross 40. So Swami Vivekananda had said that, "Look, I will never reach 40." Means he had a premonition that he was very clear that he will pass away very soon. But again, Josephine McLeod also probably didn't understand. On July 2nd, 1902, it was a Wednesday, Ekadashi day. Though in spite of having a ill health or bad health, Swami Vivekananda was fasting. In Indian culture, that if you fast on Ekadashi day, it is good. There is a belief or faith. Of course, this can be seen in two ways. One is fasting is always good for health, physical health, and also if you fast keeping as a vow, as a spiritual practice, that will also help our mind, purification of the mind. It will also help us to reach God or attain God as a part of spiritual practice or penance. Swami Vivekananda was fasting on the Ekadashi day, 11th day of the calendar. Nivedita visited her master. Though she said no, but still, Swami Vivekananda himself served the food for Nivedita. What a blessed event, isn't it? Her master himself is with fond, with love, with great affection, he is serving the food for his disciple. And he is fasting. Look, that's the beauty of it. And after finishing the food, he took the jug of water and he did pour himself to wash the hands of Sister Nivedita. Though Sister Nivedita opposed to it, but Swami Vivekananda didn't listen. He washed her hands and also he wiped or he dried her hands with a towel. Nivedita felt very uneasiness and Nivedita said, "Look, you are my guru. I am supposed to serve you. You are not supposed to serve me. Why are you doing this?" Sister Nivedita said this. But Swami Vivekananda said, Jesus washed the feet of his disciples. We all know this Last Supper, afterwards what happened. So Jesus washed the feet of disciples, isn't it? Then Nivedita, to her mouth or the tip of the tongue it came. Yes, but that was the last time. But she holded herself and she kept quiet and she was unaware why these things are happening. So here again, Swami Vivekananda was giving a signal that he will be no more. And Sister Nivedita, she writes a letter to her friend Nell Hammond. There, beautifully, she portrays, she describes how her Guru, Swami Vivekananda, showered love towards her. On Wednesday, I went again and stayed from till noon. Oh, he was so sweet. And I think now that he knew I would never see him again. Such blessings, Such sweetness, I cannot tell you, I can't explain it. If I had only known as it was, well, as he looked, I was so full of the idea of the care he required that I introduced no topic lest it might agitate him, and I dreaded overstaying lest I should make him tired. If I had only known how precious every moment would have been, but oh, how unbearable. So here we can see how Sister Nivedita was so happy. I mean, she was immersed in the love of her master, that is Swami Vivekananda. July 4, 1902, Friday, which is a very unfortunate day for most of us, the followers of Swami Vivekananda. That day, unusually, Swami Vivekananda closed the doors and windows of the prayer hall or the chapel, and he went inside and he locked the doors. Everyone were dumbfounded, and that was the time for puja, morning puja, but still he's not opening the doors, and none dared to open the doors or to knock. For a few, maybe 3 or 4 hours, Swami Vivekananda was inside, and no one knows what happened. But at noon, when he opened the doors of the chapel and he came out, with a sigh of relief, he was coming out. Afterwards, only people understood that he discussed his departing with his master Sri Ramakrishna, and probably Sri Ramakrishna assured him, okay, your work is over, or whatever the task I have given to you, you have completed, you can go to your abode or you can come to the abode. So probably Sri Ramakrishna had assured that's the reason. And after lunch that day, he took 3 hours Sanskrit grammar class for the novices, the brahmacharis or the would-be monks. He took 3 hours class on Sanskrit grammar for the brahmacharis. Evening he had a stroll, walk, and he came back. After evening Vesper service, he asked Japamala from his attendant and he started doing japa. After an hour or so, he asked his attendant to fan him and he laid down on the bed and he started doing japam again. He continued doing his japam. Maybe again 1 hour is passed. He shook his hands once or twice and he took a deep breath twice, and Swami Vivekananda is no more, or he left his mortal coil. And very interesting, the fact is that that night, July 4th night, Swami Vivekananda had left his mortal coil, and Nivedita is unaware of this. And in other part of Calcutta, she is staying. And that night, she had a very strange, rare dream that Sri Ramakrishna is leaving his mortal coil for second time. Look, 1886 itself, Sri Ramakrishna had left his mortal coil. In 1904, Sister Nivedita is experiencing or having a dream that Sri Ramakrishna is leaving his mortal coil second time, once more. It was a very strange dream and she didn't understand. But early morning, someone knocked her door and a person from Belur Mutt had come and he gave a shocking news that her master, Swami Vivekananda, is no more and he left his mortal coil yesterday night. Now she was able to link her dream, her night dream, with Swami Vivekananda's passing away. Here, one more thing we have to understand, like there is no difference between Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother Sharda Devi, and Swami Vivekananda. The truth is one, or the same divine spirit is flowed in 3 directions. Actually, potentially, there is no difference between all these 3 people. One truth, one divine spirit has been flowed in 3 directions. We have to understand. And she came, the whole day she was there next to Swami Vivekananda's mortal body and she was fanning him continuously. Afternoon, there was a ceremonial bath given to Swami Vivekananda's body and it was brought down, decorated with flowers and all. Then the body was laid on the funeral pyre and just they had lit the fire and Sister Nivedita saw a ochre robe or ochre cloth, which was the ochre cloth was seen last time by Sister Nivedita before when Swami Vivekananda was in during his lifetime while he was breathing, while he was leaving. She asked Sardananji that you wrapped on the bed. That was the last time when I saw Swami Vivekananda. That is the same cloth he had put on his body. Probably it would have been better. I would have got it. Then Shardananda said, do you want it now? But already the fire has been lit. Sister Nivedita understood that, yes, let it be so. She kept quiet. Then the whole night, she was there near the funeral pyre of her Guru, Master Swami Vivekananda. Then early morning, the whole night, Sister Nivedita, she stayed near funeral pyre, and it was everything burnt into ashes. For her astonishment, at the early morning, someone touched her and someone were pushing her sneeze. Then she came to conscience and she see a piece of cloth which Sister Nivedita had felt if it would have been better if she would have got, and the same piece of cloth was just next to her feet. It was again astonishment. She took with all respect and reverence and she kept in her pocket. You see, again, it is a sort of miracle. Sister Nivedita wanted a piece of cloth which Swami Vivekananda had wrapped on his body. That was the last time in 1902 or July 2nd or 3rd when she met. And now it was put into fire, his whole body has been burnt into ashes, reduced into ashes, but a piece of cloth, in that midst, a piece of cloth getting as it is not a small thing, it is a miracle. So Sister Nivedita's last wish, our Swami Vivekananda's favorite disciple's wish, was fulfilled by her master, that is Swami Vivekananda. She took as a great blessing from her master. Then she thought that, okay, master is there with me. He might have left his mortal coil, but he is there with me. And she remembered that Swami Vivekananda's statement, it may be that I shall find it good to get outside my body, to cast it off like a worn out garment, but I shall not cease to work. I shall inspire man everywhere until the world shall know that it is one with God. These were the immortal words, gospel of Swami Vivekananda. So she remembered. And slowly, people continued their work in the Belur Mutt for a month or so. There was a great silence and voidness. And slowly, people started recovering from the rude shock of Swami Vivekananda's demise. Meanwhile, Sister Nivedita started because the Indian freedom movement was going on. Just like Ireland was colonized for 7 to 8 centuries, even India was colonized by Britishers for 3 centuries almost. So in the 20th century, at the beginning of the 20th century, there was a huge, great freedom movement in and around India. Everywhere there was a freedom struggle. Go back, get out, you Britishers, we don't want you. Free our motherland. We will take care of ourselves. Enough is enough. Get lost, get out. So there was an intense freedom struggle. And now Sister Nivedita also started involving herself in this freedom struggle. And she started meeting politicians, the then politicians. She started speaking with them. She started sharing herself with the dayas with these people. Then there was a rumor, because she was actually the full member of the Ramakrishna order. But there was a policy made by Swami Vivekananda himself that Ramakrishna order will not involve in any politics at all. It will be away from all the political movements. But now Sister Nivedita is going against it. So Swami Brahmananda and Swami Sharadananda, the first president of Ramakrishna order and the general secretary of Ramakrishna Mutt and Mission, they asked, kindly look into this matter. But somehow she felt that she had to participate in this freedom struggle. She had to struggle, or she had to participate in the freedom struggle to free the India. So she said, okay, I will be mentally, and as a follower, I will be the follower of Ramakrishna and Vivekananda, and I will be the disciple of Vivekananda, and I will follow the Ramakrishna mission, no doubt. But officially, whatever the decisions I am taking, that will be of myself. I will be independent in my taking decisions, so that the membership, whatever I am having with the Ramakrishna mission, that I will take back, or you can cancel my membership officially, so that tomorrow if anything happens, Ramakrishna mission or Ramakrishna Mutt will not be blamed by the public or by the officers or by the people. So saying that with a deep heart, she she resigned her membership of Ramakrishna mission. But still, she started continuing visiting Belur Mutt, showing respect to monks, traveling with monks, etc. etc. Only officially, she was not the member of Ramakrishna Ada. And also, she gave a paper statement. The paper statement goes like this: we have been requested to inform the public that at the conclusion of the days of mourning of Swami Vivekananda, it has been decided between the members of the order at Belur Mutt and Sister Nivedita that her work shall henceforth be regarded as free and entirely independent of their sanction or authority. So only she wanted to be, free and independent, and more than that, so people should not blame Ramakrishna order. And also Swami Vivekananda had made a policy decision that Ramakrishna mission will not involve in the politics. So she wanted to give value to her master's words. Now she toured in the western part of India, so that she wanted to know more, and she wanted to be exposed more about India, Indian culture, Indian customs, Indian way of thinking. After finishing her western part of India's tour, then she goes to southern part of India. She meets a lot of people. She addresses the people, and she inspires and she motivates many youths to participate in the freedom movement or freedom struggle. She also gave good amount of lectures on India, Indian culture, Indian philosophy, on Vedanta, and the uniqueness of Hinduism, so on and so forth. And again, now after coming back, she started that, okay, I was away little from my school activities. Now I have to resume. I have to give more attention towards my school activities so that it can become better. And slowly again, she started giving more of her time and attention for the school. As a result, again, the school was thrived. One of the person, S.K. Radcliffe, who visited Sister Nivedita school, he gives a beautiful uh, view or his experience about the school. Beginning as a tiny kindergarten, the school grew steadily until it had a large attendance of little Hindu girls up to the marriageable age, and a still larger number of married women and widows. As conducted by Sister Nivedita and her colleague, the school involved no uprooting from familiar surroundings. Neither child nor woman was taken from her home into a foreign world. Her schooling demanded only a daily migration from one home to another in the same lane or ward. The principle was, as Sister Nivedita herself expressed it, by means of familiar factors of her daily life, so to educate the Indian girl as to enable her to realize those ends which are themselves integral aspirations of that life. And there is no attempt of conversion, rather, it is with their own culture, by means of her own customs and traditions, to develop her in harmony with the Indian ideals, the teachers themselves following those ideals as far as they could be made practicable. This is the uniqueness in Sister Nivedita. So she never asked, unlike Christian missionaries, she never asked the Indians to convert to either Christianity, and she herself was a great true Indian. Then a lot of work she had to do, and a lot of struggles also she had to face. Now it was in 1911, Somehow, once more she had been to West and she came back and she started feeling that I may not live more. Someone had prophesied in her life that between the age 42 and 44, she will not leave. I mean, she will depart from this world. The same thing, probably she had a premonition. She started feeling that I may not live more. And her letter or also says that in the cycle of the years, we have come round to the same days again. Friday next, March 25th, will be my birthday when I was first called Nivedita. We are then entering on the 17th year. May it be blessed in his service. I wish it might be unflawed, perfect, but this seems too much to ask. Do you remember how Chiro foretold that I would die between the 42nd and 44th year? I am now 36. So I suppose I shall see this cycle though. I fancy I shall die in 1912. Will these years make a difference in the position of India? Shall I be allowed to see? There I was some used to Swamiji. I only wanted. I shall always only want to be allowed to carry his burden for him. I don't care the least about Mukti. See, again, she also, just like her guru, Swami Vivekananda, she also had a premonition that in no time she will depart from this world. And she was very clear about it. And the beauty is, she never cared for mukti. She never cared for nirvana. She never cared for emancipation. Rather, she is only caring how much I can serve my master's cause. If I can fulfill my master's wish, that is the greatest blessing I feel. So, this is the great, salient, and unique characteristic of all these great people. They were completely selfless to their bone marrows. They never thought about themselves, about their comforts, physical comforts, or mental comforts, or emotional comforts, even spiritual comfort called emancipation or mukti. At least most of us, we spiritual aspirants, we all aspire for emancipation. Oh, let us get released from the cycle of samsara, birth and death, and we shall not have any more birth and we shall not have any more sufferings. But these people, they never bother for that. Why? Because they have got such a broad heart, broad mind, compassion towards the beings. So they don't care even for their mukti, for their liberation. They only care how they can serve the motherland, how they can serve the humanity, and how they can reduce the misery of the world or of the humanity. But you see, even these people also, they had to undergo lot of sufferings, lot of unwanted things, and lot of ups and downs in their life. So in 1911, she had a rude shock that Sister Christine, one of her best friend, she left for USA. And after coming back, and she never stayed back, I mean, she never stayed with Sister Nivedita. Earlier, she used to stay with Nivedita in the same house, but now she said that I will stay separately and also I will not involve or join your work. And she departed herself and she joined in the Brahmo school, Brahmo Samaj school. This was again one of the rude shock to Sister Nivedita. One of her best friend, now she has departed. And added to that, again, one more girl or middle-aged young girl who was taught in Sister Nivedita school, Sudhira, I think, she was also departed and she wanted to join the Christian and she also departed Sister Nivedita. And this is the lady she used to look after into day-to-day affairs of Sister Nivedita's school. So Nivedita didn't bother about day-to-day things. She had kept on writing articles, contributing to Prabuddha Bharata or Brahma Bhadin or some newspapers. And she used to travel to different places to give lectures and probably to bring money also. So slowly, she had given this day-to-day affairs for these people. One sister, Christian, also left now, and Sudhira Bala, she also left. Again, these two things had a very rude shock, great shock on Sister Nivedita's mind. She was unable to understand why all of these things are happening. But anyhow, in the 1911 or 1912, during Dasara, where there will be vacation for almost 20 days or 1 month in the Bengal, because which is one of the very important festival there. So she thought that she will go to Darjeeling for some rest. And she also met Girish Chandra Ghosh, one of the great devotee of Sri Ramakrishna. But after the meeting, in no time, in just in few days, she passed away. So remembering that he was actually writing one book, uh, Tapobal, that is the austerity of tapas, or the energy derived from the austerities or penance. So when he heard that she left her mortal coil, in the preface, he wrote these words: Pure Nivedita, the child, you always rejoiced when my new dramas were staged. My new drama is being staged now. But where are you? When I was lying ill before you left for Darling, you had tenderly said to me, I hope to see you well again on return. I am still living, child. Why do you not come to see me now? I hear that on your deathbed you remembered me. Engaged as you are in the Lord's work now, if you still remember me, accept this tearful gift of mine, Girish Chandra Ghosh. You see, with what great emotion, with sadness, Girish Chandra Ghosh, he wrote these few words for his, work, Tapobal. But she was very clear about it, because before going to Darjeeling, she came to Holy Mother's house, which is called Udbodhan. There, Holy Mother had gone to her birthplace, that is Jairambati. She met Swami Shardananji, Golapma, and Yoginma. These are the two attendants who used to serve Holy Mother, and these two ladies were the great disciples of Sri Ramakrishna also. And Sister Nivedita, since Yoginma was advanced her age and very senior, she, just like in a Hindu custom, we prostrate to the elders, she prostrated to the Yogin Ma, and she said that, Yogin Ma, I feel strongly that I will not return. Yogin Ma was perturbed by hearing these words. She said, my dear child, why do you say this? I do not know. I feel so somehow this is the end. But Yoginma didn't want to continue this conversation. She said that, Nivedita, don't encourage your mind with this such type of thoughts, and it is better to think positively. And she shifted the conversation on something else. They conversed, and Sister Nivedita took the depart from Yoginma. And on 1911, she left for Darjeeling in the 1911. On September 22, she left, and she stayed in the Ray Villa. For first few days, she had enough rest, and it was quite good. And one day, Sister Nivedita and some of the fellow beings, they all felt that we will have a trekking and going to Sandak Few Peak. In 2-3 days journey it was. They were supposed to go on horseback, but on the fixed day for departure, Nivedita had a severe attack of blood dysentery. Dr. Neelaratna Sarkar, he was one of the prominent physician of Calcutta in those days. Somehow he was in Darjeeling, and he was brought, and all necessary medical aid was given to her, but no avail. Because day by day, she was sinking. Her health was getting deteriorating. And she says at the time, I am learning to consider life and death as the uppers and the reverse of the same coin. I thought last night that interfused with all this world of matter, penetrating it through and through, there may be another, call it meditation or mind or what one will, and that perhaps that is what death means. Not to change one's place, for since this is not matter, it can have no place, but to sink deeper and deeper into that condition of being more and more divested of the imagination of body, so that our dead are close to us physically, if it comforts us to think of so them, and yet one with all vastness, one with uttermost freedom and bliss. And so I thought of the universal as mingled in this way with the finite, and we standing here on the borderline between the two, that is, the paradise of infinite and finite. So she was preparing herself to leave this mortal coil. On October 7th, she knew that the end was coming and she prepared her will and she had was. She said that in the east and in the west, in the north and in the south, let all things that are, without enemies, without obstacles, having no sorrow and attaining cheerfulness, move forward freely, each in his own path. So this was the her dearest prayer. So she was loudly telling about this. And Rudrastuti prayer also she was telling again and again, oh, from the unreal lead us to the real, from darkness lead us to light, from death lead us to immortality. Reach us through and through ourselves and overmore. O you terrible, protect us from ignorance, but by your sweet compassionate face. From all these things she was telling, and one fine day in the October, she left her mortal coil. And one of the attendant who was there with Sister Nivedita, she gave her last time how Sister Nivedita had to suffer. She did suffer from bad health, but she never felt morose about it and she never complained. And she didn't say anything. Only when asked by me repeatedly, she said she is in pain or she was in pain. Never for a moment did I think that such a such a calamity could overtake us. She fought hard, but it all came to an end on the morning of the 13th at 2:30 in the night. I went to her and she told me in a hushed voice as she was getting very weak. She told me that the boat was sinking, but she will see the sunrise. Then I understood that the end was near. From that time, she refused all nourishments and medicine. I tried to give the oxygen inhalation, but she would have none. Take it away, she said, as if she knew. From the first, she seemed to know, for she talked of death now and then. She met us every time with a smile on her face, and how glad she was to have us with her. Oh, she was so patient and so bright all the time. Later on, when she was getting weaker, she asked me to tell her frankly, let there no be hiding, she said, and don't try to prolong. This was the last she said about death 4 days before she left us. So it was very clear that Sister Nivedita had a premonition that her death is end and she will be no more. And on 13th of October, she left her mortal coil. In no time, in the darling city, this news, news of demise was spread like a forest fire. Many prominent persons like Bhupendranath Bose, P.C. Rai, Nishikanta Bahadur, and so many other dignitaries of the city came and they all paid their respects, homage to Sister Nivedita, the great Irish lady who sacrificed herself for the Indian girls' education. And many of them, they shed tears out of respect and love towards her. And again, at the afternoon, the procession proceeded, and slowly, number of people increased in size, and most important people, dignitaries also, they also went along with the Sister Nivedita as a final departure. At 4:15 in the evening, the pyre was lit by Ganen Maharaj of Ramakrishna Mission, because as her interest and as her wish probably, so as per Hindu custom, the final rites was done, and with a heavy heart at 8 p.m. the whole procession came back to the Rai Villa, and in reverential memory of Sister Nivedita, a tomb has been raised where she was cremated. And there is a beautiful, there's a sentence engraved on a tomb. Here reposes Sister Nivedita, who gave her all to India. Thus ends the story of the dedicated soul, Nivedita of Ramakrishna Vivekananda, whose life was a fulfillment of her earnest prayer. What was her prayer? God, grant me to speak brave, true words in His name before I die. Words with His life flowing through them untainted, unimpaired, that I may see that lost confidence shining in His face once more, and go away into eternity, feeling that I have not disappointed Him. That is all I ask, all. That was her prayer, and definitely she fulfilled her prayer and she stood for such great ideal. So these people, they never, I think, descended on the earth, or they never came to earth to fulfill their wishes, to fulfill their aspirations, to achieve something. Like generally in our day to day things, if you see, we all want to achieve something, we want to prove something, we want to attain something, we want to enjoy the life, etc. etc. But these people, they come as a part of incarnation's great work. They come as a part and parcel of that great work. They come and they try to eliminate the suffering of the humanity, and they show the ideal life how one can possibly lead. And you see, Sister Nivedita always used to sign herself as Nivedita of Ramakrishna Vivekananda. She herself had very clear that she is the disciple of Ramakrishna and also Vivekananda. So people should not have any problem with this word Ramakrishna or Vivekananda, because the Irish lady 120 years before, Sister Nivedita, Margaret Noble, who was named as Sister Nivedita, she never had any problem with the Ramakrishna or Vivekananda. So even our Vedanta society, the followers of Vedanta society also, I think we should not have any problem with this word Ramakrishna Vivekananda. Why? Because here Nivedita herself has used to sign as Ramakrishna Vivekananda. Let Sister Nivedita inspire us more and more to understand the great values of Vedanta, and this Nivedita house, let it be witness to have such more Vedantic activities and try to bring more and more people to have this immortal gospel, that is Vedanta, so that they will be freed from so many problems. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.